Christmas party scandal that's engulfed Downing Street has become a talking point across the nation. That's a bit of an understatement, with calls for the Prime Minister to resign and criticism even from within the Conservative Party itself.
Even Ant and Dec have joined the chorus of those wondering why it seems so clear to everyone except Boris Johnson. Let's have a listen to their comments on I'm a Celebrity last night.
They've decided to cover it up.
Not a great idea, that, is it?
If we've learned one thing in the last 24 hours, is that you can't get away with covering things up.
No, that will come back to bite them at some point. Might take a year, but it will happen. The situation was as clear as day. We all watched the video of them getting the question wrong. It was obvious what happened. Even Ant and Dec are ahead of the Prime Minister. Sorry, Danny Miller on this one. Don't worry, we'll launch an inquiry or something. Not that I'll do anything.
No. Anyway, back to camp.
Now, this all comes as Plan B has been enacted. Joining us is businessman and former Dragon's Den dragon Richard Farleigh. Richard, thanks for joining us. We're also joined by Professor Devi Sridhar, Chair of Global Public Health at Edinburgh University, and Senior Clinical Lecturer at the University of Exeter Medical School, Dr Bharat Pankania. Let me come first to you, Richard Farleigh, actually. I mean, in terms of businesses, in particular those businesses that are in cities, are in towns where people would normally be going to work, is this a devastating moment for them?
Yeah, I think there's only one word for it. Unfortunately, it's terrible, just simply terrible. I mean, the estimates are that it's going to cost the economy, about $1 billion a week. Whether this is the only hope is that this is a lesser of two evils, that by doing some sort of lockdown now, that we don't have to do it later. The one positive for some businesses, maybe not for retail, obviously, but for some businesses is that Christmas is a quiet period. So if you've got to do it for 3 weeks in a year, I'd probably say this, do it now. But the other effect on business is just the confidence level. So the way that's been done by the government, it just feels a bit jerky. And also maybe that sport is prioritised above business, because you can still have large sporting events, but you stay home. The timing with the government's, obviously with the Christmas party fiasco, is not great. And also there's alternatives for business. I mean, you could rotate workforces so that not many people in the office. Businesses learn a lot about spacing and testing. And maybe it's even time to say, compulsory vaccination, or at least a vaccination passport to go to work. I mean, there's lots of other alternatives. So I feel like business has been left at the bottom of this, and it's terrible for everyone, but it is really terrible for business.
Let's just go through the measures in Plan B, and I think we have an image of them for people to have a look at while we talk to you. So home working is being advised from Monday for those who can, and then from Friday, masks indoors, and then the COVID pass for larger venues from next week, and daily testing so that if you come into contact with someone who tests positive, you will not have to self-isolate, but you take a lateral flow test every day. Richard, I just wonder, with this working from home requirement, who decides that? Is it down to the boss to say, right, now we've decided you lot can work from home, but you need to come into the office? Or does the employee decide it? Is that clear?
Well, that's a great question, because no one knows. So if there's a disagreement, who decides? And there's no answer. So hopefully people work it out sensibly, but obviously you'll get cases of conflict and unhappiness about it. It hasn't been spelt out. OK,
Dr Bharat Pankania. One of the contradictions is that, of course, people are being told to work from home, but they can still go to their work Christmas party. Is that something that you think doesn't make any sense?
Of course, it makes no sense whatsoever, as do many of those control measures that we've heard of. So on the one hand, there is this thing of you can go to the park, but on the other hand, you got to work from home. It makes no sense whatsoever. And to be honest, with the Delta variant in widespread circulation, we should have been wearing masks, good quality masks, better specification masks ages ago. To suddenly introduce masks at the last hour is again trying to play catch up rather than being ahead of the curve, keep the infections down by having multiple infection control measures that we should have been doing a little while ago.
Professor Devi Sridhar, just explain to a lot of people who will be slightly puzzled at this morning, thinking, well, hang on, we're hearing that this new Omicron variant has mild sort of consequences, mild symptoms, and we don't know many people who've got it. A lot of people are vaccinated. Why are we having to do these restrictions now?
Yeah, so the issue with Omicron is it looks more transmissible. And if you look at how it's taking off not only in South Africa, but in Denmark, but also here in the UK, it's likely to become the dominant strain. And the challenge is it's going to find people who are unvaccinated. And there are enough in terms of absolute numbers that those people will put pressure on the NHS. And I'm just really happy to hear, business coming together to find solutions. The problem we all know is that we have limited healthcare capacity. We have an exponential growth in a virus that causes hospitalizations and pressure. So how do we use vaccinations, testing, therapeutics, masks, other kind of measures to keep the burden off health services, but keep businesses afloat? That's the challenge for business and government.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work, could we be heading to a lockdown? Is that the next stage?
Yeah, unfortunately and tragically that would be, but I think we can avoid it. The thing I want to say about Plan B is we've had those measures in Scotland now for several months. We never removed face coverings here indoors. Recently went to work from home. The idea was also to have passes for big events. But I think, we should see how do we use testing and vaccination together to make indoor, let's say going to work safer. And so I think this is the kind of conversation we have to have with people, and the message to younger people that, yes, people who are appearing in hospital in South Africa are under 50 and their length of stay is less than ours here, but that might be their demographic. And that's the uncertainty we face. It looks like vaccines offer very good protection against severe illness. And that's the clear message, which is get vaccinated, get your booster, test regularly. And yeah, when you're in crowded spaces, wear a mask. It's a pretty small thing to do and something that could have a massive impact in terms of making sure you don't get infected and you don't infect other people.
As you say, there are inherent contradictions, aren't there? Because, of course, in some nations, there is a different rule on masks. And, of course, the rule that is changing in England is that tomorrow people will have to wear them in theatres, cinemas and places of worship, but not in pubs and restaurants when walking around. So, people have to decipher these rules, work out the contradictions themselves, and, as you say, try and keep themselves safe. Thank you, all three of you. Thank you very much indeed.